So hello, everybody. My name is John Lux, and I'm the Executive Director of Film Florida, and welcome to our virtual town hall, COVID-19, the new normal for hair and makeup artists. Just a reminder, we are recording this session, and the plan is to publish the discussion next week for those who missed it. For those that aren't familiar with Film Florida, the organization is a not-for-profit association run by volunteer members of the industry that represent all sectors of the film, television, production, and digital media tech industry throughout Florida. We're funded entirely by our members, and those members include industry professionals and companies, local film commissions, colleges and universities, as well as students, other associations, unions, tourism entities, and anyone that supports the industry. Our members come from Pensacola to Key West and everywhere in between here in Florida, so we truly are a statewide organization. Our functions include marketing, professional development and education, networking, and advocating. And if you're interested in joining, please go to filmflorida.org. Before we get started, I want to thank Film Florida President Gail Morgan for allowing us to do this important town hall. I want to thank our panelists for giving their time and want to thank all of our members for their support. Without the support of our members, Film Florida does not exist. So thank you to all of you. And speaking of our members, I want to thank Film Florida member Gerardo Lopez for once again providing technical support for the town hall. And of course, I want to thank everyone that's joining us today in the audience. Speaking of the audience, if you have questions, please use the Q&A function in Zoom. We'll be collecting those questions throughout the morning and address them with our panelists. When you submit a question though, if your question is for someone specific, please let us know that so we ask the right person. And also type your questions in full sentences because we may be reading your question after a specific time, so we might not know what you're referencing. We have about an hour with our great panels today, all of which are Film Florida members, so we appreciate that. And we appreciate them being with us. So let's start by letting them introduce themselves. Rory, you go first.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with us, to help us help you and for all of us to be able to share with one another because we're in this together. I'm in the South Florida area. I'm based out of Sunny Isles, which is the Miami-Dade County area. And so this Tri-County area right now is super easy as far as being local to me. I do primarily television and film production, commercial, digital media. I also have a number of corporate and private clients, including news and political. I'm also a licensed esthetician, and I freelance out of Comprehensive Medical Aesthetics and Med Spa in Miami. And so I've been doing some facials down there. And then I also have a nonprofit, ourgirlsenrichmentprogram.org, where we teach holistic makeup artist sessions to young ladies so that they understand that their beauty comes from within.
Excellent. Lisa, why don't you go next?
Hi, glad everyone could make it today. I appreciate it. I know everyone's busy and with all this craziness going on, especially now we have another storm out there. But I am based in the Panhandle, and I primarily do commercial. We do a lot of digital media up here, a lot of things for people running for public office, banks, hospitals, you name it. I've been up here for about 20 years now, but I actually started in Orlando and I was born in Key West. So I've been like all over Florida, but love this area and love this industry. And I'm so grateful that you asked me to be on this panel to help people understand about being safe. I know a lot of people are still a little iffy about it, but we'll get through it.
Great. And Stephanie?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Mazzeo. I'm originally from Allentown, Pennsylvania, moved to Florida in '96, so about 30 plus years practicing in the industry since 1992. I am located what I call North Central Florida. So I'm kind of on the East Coast, right south of Jacksonville, north of Daytona Beach, and east of Orlando. Cover most of those areas, also down to South Florida and over to the Tampa side as well.
Excellent. And I also want to mention Anna Crane, sorry about that. Anna was supposed to be with us today, but had to cancel last minute due to a multi-day booking. So we're obviously very happy that she's working, but disappointed that she can't be with us. Anna is a union member, so we were looking forward to having that perspective on the panel, but we will persevere. So first I want to start with a question and just touch on it with everybody. So I want to start high level and get a quick answer. Think back to when all of this started mid-March into April. What were your first thoughts about how your profession would change because of the pandemic? Let's start with Rory.
Wow, I tell you, mid-March, I remember leaving the PBS TV studio, and I saw a couple of postponements come on my books, and I was like, okay, no big deal, because we were like so overpacked with coming off of all of the commercial work with Super Bowl and working with Super Bowl with NFL films, and just a packed out schedule between March and April and beginning into May, that I was like, okay, I could use a little break. I have a team, which is a blessing, but a couple of postponements, no big deal. And then all of a sudden, within a 24-hour period, I kid you not, my bookings went like whoop, like we were at probably 20 some odd plus bookings to 0 bookings in a 24-hour period. And I was like, okay, well, we're in this together. And I know that, as they say in showbiz, the show must go on. I was like, okay, we're out. We're going to do whatever we need to do. But right now I'm going to sit still, because the most important thing was for us to remain healthy, and that not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well.
Lisa, how about you?
First thing I thought was, oh my gosh, we are in the closest contact pretty much of anyone who is dealing with talent. And I just thought, how do you even do this? So it took a lot of just kind of stepping back and saying, just kind of figuring it out. It's all, just with everyone, it's all brand new. And a lot of times we're just thinking outside the box and just trying to figure it out as you go along. But I didn't expect it to last as long as it did. But like I said, it just being new, just having to go along with it, learn as you go.
Stephanie, what were your first thoughts back when this all started?
Well, originally I just kind of expected maybe about a month we'd be down, out of work for a month. And then, then it was 2 months. And now, we're in October and we're just finally now getting back in, but it's not back to, what it used to be. It's definitely, an eye-opening experience to be prepared for anything, especially being freelance on your own, making your own money. You don't have anything to fall back on. There's no other options but to work. And when you can't work, you're kind of stuck. So it was a big, eye-opening change. Thank goodness for insurance. Thank goodness for, having some backup funds set aside. But it definitely made a huge impact on my lifestyle.
Right. Lisa, this is another one that I want all three of you to hit on, but we'll start with you. I received a few questions ahead of time and have been asked outside of this town hall. People want to know, how do they know if a makeup artist is taking necessary precautions or qualified given the new regulations? Just hiring somebody is no longer just acceptable. Are there specific training courses or certifications that producers should be asking about?
Absolutely. There's tons of them out there right now. And, right now Google's your best friend is just to, Google different certifications. I've gotten Barbicide's a big one. That's a good, place to start. But it's, there's all kinds of certifications out there. And I think also not only, the producers and directors, they should be asking makeup artists and hairstylists for that. But I think vice versa as well. I think, so that we know that they're being safe on set as well, just by asking questions.
Right.
Stephanie?
Well, I think as makeup artists, we've always practiced sanitation, disinfection. We've always been really careful. It's something you have to do in the industry when you're working with people, with products that, you go from one person to the next. So not much change as far as that goes, maybe be more aware hopefully you were aware to begin with. The mask wearing, totally different, totally something I had to get used to. But other than that, I think, just continuing to be on target with, keeping people safe, and focusing on what we've always done, the sanitation, the disinfection, keeping tools separate, just being more aware, even if you could even be more aware.
Rory, I know you've taken a couple of specific courses and some trainings on that. Tell us a little bit about some of those.
Yes, I agree with the ladies when they were talking about barbicide. Barbicide was something that we learned when we, got our licensing in school. And that's a necessity to retake every couple of years with our continuing education. But barbicide also has a specific one for COVID-19 mitigation preparation. In addition to that, I went back to the textbook, the tried and true textbook. So I went back to Milady and took that course. And then I took another course. And then I took another course, and being a licensed esthetician and working with Dermalogic, I also did the Clean Touch certification, which was very helpful. And they now have one out for makeup artists. So that's a good thing. But I also agree that, our standards have always been excellent, and we've always, practiced a clean procedure in terms of working with our clients, and our clients appreciate that. But I also feel that, questions go back and forth. We need to know that we're safe as well, and that we're not being thrown into, and I say that, figuratively, but, going on set and, the expectation is for us to get like 8 people ready in an hour kind of a thing, and not being able to properly sanitize like we used to, and having, a room full, like the makeup room and the makeup studio or the trailer was always the congregation place, that was kind of like the safe house where the actors would congregate and the producers and directors would come in and talk to the actors. Well, that really can't happen right now if we want to keep a clean and sanitary process.
And Rory, I want to stick with you on this next question. For those that haven't been in the hair and makeup department since COVID-19 started, talk about some of the specific PPE that you're using to keep people safe and healthy.
Well, in addition to, the face mask or the double face mask, also adding the face shield in certain situations, as well as a cover up like a smock on top of the clothing, making sure that I have my barbicide wipes and spray and Lysol wipes and spray to really, make sure that everything is clean in between. I also use Sterilite equipment, which is a great machine. And for those of you who are professionals, you can ask them for a pro discount, but it's UVC lighting and it has a 99.9% efficacy. And so that gives me a peace of mind that I can sanitize my products and my tools and brushes and such, and know that, that we're being as safe as possible, because it's our health as well as the health of our clients and our reputation, our credibility, that's most important.
Lisa, besides the obvious PPE that Rory mentioned, what's the biggest difference that you found in how you provide your services now versus pre-COVID-19?
I think a lot of it, as Stephanie had said, that's how we learned it was, a matter of fact, when I was going to cosmetology school, that was one of the things we all complained about is when are we going to get to the real stuff? It was all about sterilization. So we did do that. I think now I'm a little more aware of kind of owning it and making, my clients know this is what I'm going to do. Because a lot of it, I would do it, but I wouldn't come out and tell them that's what I'm doing. So at least that way they'll know, oh, okay, she's, taking precautions and she's being safe. And also because I work a lot of times on set where I do have to get, I have like 4, 5, 6 talent. So I'm making up separate little set bags for them. And a lot of times they'll have to go and do touch-ups. And so most of what's different for me is basically going to be pre-prep. So I've always, which is kind of it's a great thing for me, because I always like to be prepared, probably over prepared. So I've always wanted to know, who am I working on? What is their coloring? What is, if I'm having to do hair, what is their hair texture? What's going on? Are they going to be sweating? Are they going to be? So I like to, now I'm able to ask those questions, and I am expected to know that before I get on set. So I'm really grateful for that. But then I do make up, little set bags for each person so that everything is labeled, it's all separate, and then they, return it to me at the end of the day. And I know that, I'm going to sterilize it and take care of it. And so I think, there are good things about it as well. But that's probably the biggest difference for me, I think.
And Stephanie, you had mentioned that most of these sterilization practices were already in play long before COVID-19 came. But for those that aren't aware, what are some of the practices that you use to sanitize and sterilize your tools?
Well, I use a lot of different products. There's barbicide is a great one. And then, when you get home, it's another whole process on top of it. You've got on-set cleaning, sanitation, trying to do what you can there. Then, of course, keeping those dirty brushes separate, the used ones, taking them home, and then going through a whole process there with soap and water, washing them, and then sanitizing, disinfecting what you can. And disposables have become my best friend. I have invested so much money right now in disposable brushes. It's insane. I'll buy even cheap ones, the dollar ones, just so that I don't have to worry about washing them.
And that makes sense. Stephanie, we're having a little bit of problem with your internet connection, so you're freezing a little bit. So I think you finished up there. So we'll jump over to Rory. Stephanie mentioned some of and Lisa did as well, some of the throwaways and some of the disposables. Is it necessary to throw out all of your materials after you've used them on a talent, or why or why not?
I know in our initial town hall, when Film Florida created that 7-page amazing document for production, keeping safe sets, SETS in Florida, that question was posed. And I immediately thought, that's bananas, because I use high quality. And even though, I do have my own makeup line and I manufacture my own products, it's still cost prohibitive to be expected to throw away makeup after one use. So my suggestion was, and it has happened, where professional clients would buy their own makeup brushes or buy their own products. And I've been able to supply a lot of my talent with their own products, so that this way, when they go on set, I'm using their personal things, and therefore no one else is using it. And then they feel safe and comfortable, and it's a win-win situation. And I know when we pivoted in the beginning and in the mid months of the COVID shutdown, that's one of the things that I immediately put into place with my, especially with the newscasters and people who are doing daily and weekly shows, because the show was still filming with or without me being on set with them. So I took to virtual Zoom to teach lash application and providing the products, and then showing them over the camera lens, how to actually apply the products so that they were okay without me, at least temporarily. It wasn't the same, but it was close enough.
And Lisa, that actually leads to the next question, where Rory was, saying she wasn't necessarily on set for some of those. We've read a lot about people telling talent now to come to set camera ready, as opposed to having a hair and makeup artist on set. The advantages to that are, budget and less people on set, or being, close together. But there are far more challenges in doing that. Talk about why every production should still have a hair and makeup artist on set, and what are some of kind of the fallacies about being, quote unquote, camera ready when talent comes to set.
Well, I know definitely, and because I hear it from a lot of, clients that I work with, and even some where I might even just put a little powder on them before they, have to go on set really quickly. Mm-hmm. It calms them and it makes them feel more comfortable. And I think they just get a better production out of it, because they just feel better and they don't have to worry about it. Because I couldn't imagine being an actor, first of all, but then having to do my own hair and makeup if I didn't normally do it. I would be a little intimidated by that. And I think I would I wouldn't be able to give my best performance for sure. But yeah, that's difficult. Yeah, there's less people on set, but then there's another set of eyes as well. There's been many times, and I'm sure these ladies can tell you as well, where there's a hair sticking out, like just there it is, and nobody sees it because you've got the script person is worried about the script, and you've got the lighting person's worried about the lighting, and then so they're not paying attention to that. So I think sometimes you really do need another set of eyes.
And Stephanie, obviously the number one goal, globally is to keep everybody safe and healthy on set. But is there one specific thing that you find yourself just kind of sticking in your head, keep reminding yourself in order to help that process?
I think for now, just explaining what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what the outcome is the most important part. They need to know what the steps that I'm taking are. They need to know that everyone on set know that I'm doing that for them as well as for myself. And just making sure everybody's aware of the training I've had, the education I've had, the years of experience, and just getting that out there. Because normally, you go in, you're in the makeup room, you don't, see too many people on set. So I just want them to be aware that I know how to do this, how to do it right, and, how to keep everyone safe. So that's probably the best thing, is just be more vocal about the steps we take.
So communication is key in that respect. So that's good. Lisa, going back over to you, talk about, there's been a lot of conversation, not just in our industry, just in general with the virus, indoor versus outdoor. Do you have to take do you approach your job any differently if you're working with talent that's indoor or outdoor, or for you, is it all the same?
To me, it's pretty much all the same. I think I don't really want to switch from one mindset to the other, because you might get a little lax if you think, well, it's not as bad outside because there's, and that could very well be the case. It's not, you're not in such a closed quarter, and it might not be as dangerous or anything, but I like to just keep it all the same. That way I'm not gonna, forget something or worry about or not worry about something that could happen, even though it's, just because you're in a different environment.
And Rory, besides the certifications and training courses, are there other sources of information that have been helpful to you? Maybe something that isn't necessarily industry related or specific, but, something people might not think about that has actually helped you gain some additional knowledge.
Yes. And I do feel that there is, but before, I just wanted to add on to two
Please.
things.
Yeah.
Camera ready for an actor and camera ready for a director or producer is not camera ready in our eyes. And I just want to share that in love, and share that we have been trained. I've been in this game 25 plus years, and I have an eye peeled, like the other ladies were saying, from head to toe. And I see things that other people don't see. And after the fact, especially if we're shooting in video, it's too late to fix something. And so if an actor comes on set and they do come on set camera ready, but their version of camera ready still needs our last looks, still needs us to take them to the real camera ready. So I do want to bring out another point that I feel is also important, and that germs travel inside or outside. So, our COVID procedures we have to stay on guard, because, if germs are traveling and we're not wearing masks and we're walking by each other and we're talking and we're not social distancing where we can, then we stand the risk of, being at a safety risk, whether we're inside or outside. It's good that we have more ventilation outside, but then again, from what I've read, CDC standards, and what I've researched, this pandemic spreads through the air as well. So just wanted to bring out those two key points. Working at CMA, at the medical aesthetics place, and having strict guidelines. There, it's like medical. It's like being in a hospital. Everything is like so sanitary and so sterilized that it just keeps me on my toes to make sure that that I'm authentic and I'm true to what I'm doing, whether I'm on a TV set or a photo shoot, in a production studio, or at the aesthetics, at the med spa. So I feel that reading up on that information and having that hospital grade sterilization like we have over at Comprehensive Aesthetics, I mean, it really does help a lot.
Gerardo, special appearance here from the producer standpoint. You have something to add here. What did you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have been very adamant about keeping people safe, and I've been managed to not have anybody get sick on my sets for these last 4 months, and I try not to jinx it. And one of the things that I say to the makeup artists that work with me is, you are the only person, the only adult responsible in that makeup room is the makeup artist. Same with the wardrobe person. We have extras and models and kids, and and everybody is taking their masks off. And if the makeup artist is not that responsible adult that will tell people, you need to keep your mask on, you need to wash your hands, your guys are too close, it's not your job, but you are the only one responsible, knowing. I mean, we as producers in productions can spend millions of dollars on protecting people and doing things and disinfecting and and doing a whole bunch of things. But if people don't wear their masks, it just doesn't work. And if they don't pay attention, and the only way to pay attention is reminding them. And we as producers can be every 5 minutes going in telling people wear your mask. And so it was something I just wanted to add.
Thank you. And, going back to Rory's point about the camera ready part, I've read that, in the last, obviously 8 months in a lot of things. And I think it diminishes the importance of the hair and makeup artist. I mean, we wouldn't go on set and say, well, we're not going to have a lighting person. We're just going to flip on the lights and we'll be fine. Or we're not going to have a DP. We're just going to have somebody hit record on the camera. I mean, it doesn't work that way in our industry. We have trained professionals to do a job. And so I've always, kind of cringed when people have said, well, we're not going to have hair and makeup. People are just going to come to set camera ready. I just don't think it helps the process, either from a creative standpoint, or even a safety standpoint. I just don't think it adds that much to the, what you're trying to accomplish in a positive way to eliminate the hair and makeup artist. So I'm glad we're all on the same page there. Not that I expected any of you guys to disagree with that part, but let's see, where are we on the questions here? Lisa, somebody touched on this earlier, and I don't remember who it was, but the relationship between the makeup artist and the talent is a very intimate relationship because of the time spent in very close proximity. Given all the PPE involved, how challenging has it been to build that relationship with the talent that you're working on now that you're in a mask and a gown and eyeglasses and protective visors and all of these things? Has it been challenging to kind of still build that relationship with your talent?
It has been a little bit. I have actually tried to, whenever I get booked on something, I like to find out at least the talent's email, so I can have a conversation with them beforehand and kind of get to know them a little bit, let them know a little bit about me so that they're more comfortable. But you're absolutely right, especially when you have the mask on, they can't see your facial expression or anything. It's a little daunting, but it's just it's like you said, it's conversation, and it's just communication is key. And so I think as long as they know what you're doing and that you are being safe, and then get that out of the way, and you might want to throw it in, but then also put in your personality and your perspective on things, and let them know it's okay. It's yeah, this is all different, and but we're all here for the same reason, and we want to do the best job we can. And you know, it works out. It works out in the end.
Rory, I wanted to ask you something that came up from our Q&A here, where, you know, here's the challenge. It says, although clients are requesting all of these precautions, they're not giving the extra time that is required. There's definitely more time and money spent on everybody's behalf. Talk about that challenge that you guys are, as a, you know, hair and makeup artists are facing, where you are expected to do a lot more, but not necessarily given the time and in the schedule or the budget to do that.
Right. You know what? I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to add upon what Lisa said, because communication is key. And being able to walk into an environment, I feel like the makeup area is the oasis of a production. I mean, it's the start of where talent will either feel comfortable or not comfortable in terms of, you know, given that their countenance, and it's important that when they get in front of the camera, you know, that everything on their face is showing what they're thinking. So I have had conversations in the beginning when we first started branching back out in the onset of going back into the world with talent, where I've had the communicating conversations with production to find out, you know, the details as far as number of talent, whether or not the schedule's being staggered, whether or not there's, you know, a timeline where we can properly sterilize and sanitize after each person. And there were a few jobs that, you know, unfortunately, I had to say, you know what, I don't think that it's a good idea for me to be there unless I can bring a teammate with me and we can spread out and we can work so that this way, if we have 2 sets of hands or 3 sets of hands on deck, then we can still effectively get things done in the timeline that the producer wants, because, you know, time is money when you're, you know, renting studios and production and talent and don't want to pay them overtime. So I totally respect the bottom line of a producer's budget. So, you know, we have to have the extra time. And if a budget is needed for us to purchase things in advance, whether it be disposables or extra products for that specific shoot, then communicating in advance is definitely imperative in order to know that what we're walking into is going to be a safe environment for everyone involved.
I just wanted to touch on something here that came in from the Q&A, also from Jacqueline. She asked about, you know, COVID-19 compliance officers. Jacqueline, it's a good point, but, you know, we have productions that are everywhere from, you know, 5 people on set to 500 people on set. And sometimes there is not a COVID compliance officer, especially on the smaller budget, the smaller sets. And so we've always preached from the very beginning of this is personal responsibility. And so if, you know, as Gerardo mentioned, and somebody else mentioned about reminding people to keep their distance or keep their mask on and those type of things, I think that's on everybody's shoulders, not just a compliance officer, to remind people and look out for those things. Because in the end, you know, if one person isn't following and happens to get an entire set sick, it really doesn't matter whose fault it was at that point. We're all dealing with it, and nobody wants that. So I think that's why it's good to have multiple people kind of keeping an eye out for some of these safety measures. Want to talk about, let's see, another thing. Well, Lisa, you know, talk about some of the personal, it says, personal grooming protocols were put in place for the hair and makeup departments on set in Dade County. And that's right. You know, Miami-Dade has some great protocols. Rory mentioned the recommendations that we put out earlier in the year as from Film Florida. Those aren't mandates or requirements. Those are really, you know, just kind of get people thinking and talking and looking out for things. Obviously, union sets, and this is what I mentioned with Anna not being able to join us, union sets have much different protocols and requirements. So that's another layer of safety. Sorry about that, Lisa. I thought that actually was a question. It wasn't actually more, it was more of a statement. So I'm checking through the Q&A to see if we've gotten anything else. So Let's go back to, and this is for everybody, and you don't have to mention names here necessarily, but have you turned down a job since COVID-19 started because you didn't think the set was going to be safe or they didn't answer the questions the way you wanted? Stephanie, you're shaking your head, so let's go with you first.
Yes, I actually had a commercial project, just a commercial. So it would have been one day on set, but they didn't have anything in place. They couldn't answer, the questions I asked about how are you checking people coming on to set. So I just had to turn it down. I didn't explain the reason I turned it down, but I think they kind of knew I just wasn't comfortable showing up on set for something like that. And it's a shame. It's a shame that, people don't look ahead and take responsibility for each and every person walking onto your set. I think that's, something that you need to do as a producer, director, whoever you are. You need to make sure, every person is accountable, yes, but making sure that everyone else is aware of what you're doing, just like I do when I'm cleaning brushes and sanitizing and, making sure I, take the makeup out and don't scoop it right from, the container. It's something that we've always done. And I think it's something that people need to start, putting in the forefront of their mind going forward from here.
Lisa, how about you? Have you turned anything down?
Luckily, no, I haven't had to. Ever since this started, yeah, I mean, everything slowed down tremendously, but it seems the people that I work with a lot locally are just, they're spot on. They're all members of Film Florida as well, but they've all been very, very active in keeping people safe. So I haven't felt unsafe at all. And any questions I've ever had, they've always answered. And I appreciate this community here so much, just because we have been able to continue to work, just because we know, we know each other so well. We've worked with each other for years. So we just kind of figured it out together, and it's working.
Good, good. Rory, how about you? Have you had to turn anything down because you haven't felt comfortable with the precautions they were taking?
In the very beginning, yes. And I took it a step further and took on the responsibility, like to buy the sterilite equipment and to buy a thermometer to do my own temperature checks if necessary. We as makeup artists we're touching people's faces, and we're, only at most 6 inches away as opposed to 6 feet away. So I felt personal responsibility to, to take those extra precautionary measures. And when I felt that it wasn't going to be a quote unquote safe zone, then, unfortunately, I thought, if I answers to my questions, and my producer understood and said, okay, well, maybe this is not going to work. So that's good. I mean, even right down to making sure that we have extra hand sanitizer. Thanks, Phil Florida, for shipping those out. And being able to wash hands. Yes. And being able to wash hands. I mean, I know that sounds like the mom in me, but it's like, could you please wash your hands? Don't touch anything, go wash your hands. But yeah.
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old boy, so I definitely, it's a broken record around our house as well. Yeah. Rory, let me ask you this question that came in from Gavin. It says, how do you sanitize eyeshadow or powder products?
Is that question for me?
Yes, go ahead.
Very simple. It goes into my sterilite equipment, and I can sterilize anything that includes brushes, tools, as well as powder products. It goes in there, and it takes, I think, 3 minutes, and then I pull it out, and I feel comfortable that the product is sanitary and ready to go. Sometimes, depending on what it is, I'll spritz it with alcohol first. Of course, I have my own professional brush cleaner that's antibacterial and antimicrobial, which that also helps, because we're not always in a position where we can wash our brushes and then dry them in between clients. But with that particular equipment that I have, the UVC equipment, it does have a feature where I can wash brushes and put it in there to sterilize and to dry. So within an hour, the brushes are dry.
Excellent. So let's fast forward. We did a lot kind of looking back and then what's going on now. Let's fast forward a little bit, whether it's 6, 9, 12 months from now, whenever there is a COVID-19 vaccine for everybody, will all of these additional precautions still be part of your process, or will you eliminate some of them and kind of go back to the old normal? Lisa, let's start with you.
No, I think, of course, get rid of the mask. That would be my big thing. But as far as sterilization, everything, most of it, we've pretty much been doing that. I may not announce what I'm doing so much, but I think I'll definitely still ask the same questions, before shoot, and make sure I know who I'm working on, just especially, for color wise and everything, so I know what I need to bring in my kit. And I'll tell you, before COVID, my kit was huge. I had everything in it. And it was a Fat Max from Home Depot, if anybody have seen those. So I will say one good thing is I have been able to pare that down tremendously. And now I have exactly what I need when I need it. And a lot of the stuff, I still have my Fat Max, but he'll stay in the car. But so I think I'm going to keep doing that, definitely. That way I don't have to, I just have exactly what I need on set at all times. But as far as like sterilization and all that, it's pretty much what I do. But I will definitely still because you never know when the next COVID might come. You don't know. So I'll definitely continue doing everything I'm doing to keep safe.
Stephanie, would you agree with that? Do you keep kind of all the sterilization that you've always done and then just maybe lose the PPE that you're wearing?
Yeah, the PPE, that has to go. I mean, the mask is just, it's not fun, and we all know it. But the sterilization will stay. It's always been there, 30 plus years. It's not going anywhere. And the announcing to people, maybe not so much, but I do still try to tell people what I'm doing, give them a heads up. And not as many disposables, probably. I'll be saving some money there for sure.
Roy, how about you?
You guys don't laugh at me, but I used to carry face masks with me even before COVID, because if I had the slightest inkling, I'm germophobic. I'll be the first to admit, and my team will tell you I'm seriously OCD. So we had, policies and procedures and protocol for sanitation in place before COVID. And if I had the slighting inclination that someone was not feeling well, then I would use myself as an excuse and say, I have to put a mask on just to make sure that I don't spread any germs or something to that effect. But I would very gently, because there have been people that have sat in the makeup chair and you can tell that they have a cold and that they're not well. And my actors will tell you, I have the tea, I have the honey, I have the face masks, I have the shields to put around the neck. So when I'm putting the cape on the person, I'm protecting this area. And, the sanitary procedures have always been there, but I feel like at this point it's like to the 10th degree. And so I may not wear a mask all the time, or double mask, or, wearing a face shield and, doing someone's facial with a steaming, that's like so crazy, because my glasses steam up, the face shield steams up, and I'm like, I can't see. So so I'll be glad to get rid of that aspect of it as well, but I'll always have those safety procedures in place.
Excellent. Roy, we got a couple of follow-ups for you of things that you've mentioned throughout here. What brand of UV sterilizers do you use?
It's a company called sterilite.com, and they're on social media. I can't remember the handle offhand, but you can always find me and I can point you in the right direction. And they do offer a professional discount for pro artists. There were different versions of it out there, but I felt that I wanted to go with the version that that hospitals use, and that this way I knew that I was getting the quality that I needed. So I didn't mind spending the extra money, because that's an investment in my career, an investment in my business, and my credibility speaks volumes. I'd rather spend the extra money on good quality, whether it's products, brushes, or equipment that I'm using for my talent, because they're worth it.
And is that the same company that does that sterilizer box? And if you're not, follow Rory on Instagram. She posts great Instagram stories of these sterilization things in action. So I've learned a lot just following. But is that the same company that does that box?
Yes, Sterilite. Sterilite is the name of they're on Instagram as well. And I post those things not in a, I post it in a humble manner. I don't post it to say, wow, look at me. I post it to say, this is the standard that we can all live by, and I feel a responsibility to my team and to the mentees that I support and encourage to help them build their business. I want us to all be at that same level of excellence, no matter what it is that we do. And I know Stephanie and Lisa, you guys in your general markets are doing the same thing. And so thank you, Film Florida, for allowing us this time to share that information.
And Lisa, and then I'm going to go to you, Stephanie, as well. I mean, just for people that are watching, are there, companies, lists of products, websites, anything like that of these products that you think people should take note, from that you use that can help others? Lisa, you go ahead.
Absolutely. Like, I love the Sterilite. I did not purchase that one particular one, but now there are all kinds. And, but you do want to do your research and make sure that it's not, because, you're always going to have these people come out and say it does wonders, great things, and it's not. So, and they're selling it for $19.99. But no, there are all kinds of different products that you can use. A lot of the things that I'm doing now is I'm just like repotting. I bought a whole bunch of they're not disposable, but you can use them and then sanitize them, where I'll scoop out little bits and for each actor or talent, and just reuse those. But yeah, there's loads of them out there.
Stephanie, you got any brand names that you want to throw out that are some of your favorites?
Barbicide is an industry standard, of course. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty So Clean is a little spray that comes out. You can actually spray on top of your shadows, and it won't change the consistency of the product. The Barbicide makes wipes, perfect for wiping down bottles, containers, handles of brushes. And, disposables can be bought almost anywhere. Camera Ready Cosmetics sells tons of them. Friends Beauty sells tons of them. That's just, disposables are probably one of the best, safest ways, because you can just toss it. It's once and done. As long as you don't reuse it, you're good. So yeah. I would just say, get out there, start, looking up for these once and done disposables, and, get your alcohol, which is hard to come by, of course, but if you can find it, that works as well.
And then Jacqueline put a question that said, this information is also good for anyone hired as a manicurist on set. Of course. Yeah. I mean, we focused on the hair and makeup side, but that's, an extension of that as well. So, and for those of you watching, we're recording this, and then we're going to put it out on social media and our YouTube channel. So if you didn't get a chance to catch any of these brand names or any of these products, look for us to post this next week. And, of course, we'd love you to watch the whole thing again, but scroll through towards the end here and you'll be able to catch all these products. I want to go one round really quick and give all of you an opportunity to give out whatever contact information, any of your websites, email addresses, phone numbers, whatever you want, in case people, number one, want to hire you. And number two, if they have any questions or any follow-up about anything we've talked about today. So feel free to give whatever type of contact information you want. Rory, you go ahead and start.
Easy to find me on all of the social media platforms at Makeup by Rory Lee. And then some of the platforms, I'm just Rory Lee, like LinkedIn, for example, that you have to use your name. But my website, the easy route to my website is very simple, rorylee.com. And there's tabs on there for booking makeup services, esthetician services, and the things that I'm doing. So that's easy, rorylee.com.
Stephanie?
The easiest way to find me is my website, stephaniemazzeo.com. Mazzeo spelled Mazzeo. So it's stephaniemazzeo.com. All my social media links are at the bottom. Phone number is 386-627-8566. Get calls and texts, so hit me up.
And Lisa?
I can be reached at my website, lisarobinsonstylist.com. And all my links are below there. And also on Instagram, I'm Onset Stylist.
Excellent. Gerardo, you want to plug yourself too while we're here?
Well, thank you. Well, my website is easy, it's filmmia.com, 2 M's. But one website that I would like to point out is one that I made during pandemic. It's what we are doing to protect people on set. And it's film-safe.com. And that will tell people what we are on Film MIA we're doing to protect people.
Excellent. Well, as we wrap up today, I want to thank everybody for joining us, especially our great panelists. Again, I want to sincerely thank all of our Film Florida members, again, including all of our panelists that are members. We really appreciate that. And thanks to Gerardo for providing technical support once again. As I mentioned earlier, Film Florida is a volunteer-driven organization that's funded entirely by our members. So without the ongoing support from those members, we don't exist. So if you're not a member of Film Florida right now, we hope you'll consider joining the organization at filmflorida.org. Annual student memberships are just $25. Individual memberships are $75, and corporate memberships start at $500. Keep up with everything we're doing on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Check out the Film Florida podcast on Apple, Google, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio app. And thanks again for watching. Stay safe and remember to wear your mask, use your hand sanitizer or wash your hands, and maintain social distancing. And if you're not feeling well, please stay home. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.